Hey y'all, welcome back to Jess Klein's Big Table. How are people doing? How are you doing? I think I wish that I could actually hear you respond, but that's not typically how podcasts work. Let's see. So I decided to do something different with this episode of the podcast. You know, I usually have these amazing guests come on and we talk about art and we talk about activism and we talk about, you know, visioning ourselves forward and how to take action towards that and trying to create a more loving world. And I love doing that. I'm really have been learning so much from all the amazing guests that I have had on here. And I hope that you are also getting a lot out of this. It's sort of almost time to wind down this season of the podcast. This has been my first season of it. The reason I want to do something different this week is that it takes a lot of energy to edit a podcast and to schedule with people and to, you know, run the recording and everything with other folks. And I kind of just wanted to do something a little more low key. So I asked people to send in some questions. It's more of like an Ask Me Anything episode. So I got a handful of questions here and I'm going to answer them. And in the next episode, which will come out 2 weeks from today, I'll be back with a special end of the year guest and conversation that I'm really excited about. But here are the questions that y'all send in. So the first question is from Celeste. And Celeste asks me, my question is, how can songwriting be used to educate people who lack the necessary information to make informed decisions about voting and choosing politicians who truly represent the collective needs of the people? It's clear that many voters make decisions based on superficial information rooted in fear. I'd love to explore how songwriting can be a powerful tool to dispel fear and promote love, empathy, and understanding. Okay, this is a really good question, and I feel like I have a really strong opinion about this question, which is that art and music, it goes to people's hearts. So I would say, Celeste, rather than thinking about it as trying to give someone information or facts, what you want to do is tell a story about someone who's being affected by the policies or the social issues that you are referencing here. You want to tell a specific human story. That's how art affects people and opens their hearts and gets them to think a little bit differently. And it, you know what? It might be frustrating and it might only be for the 5 minutes they're listening to that song that they consider you know, your point of view or the point of view of the characters in your story. But in my experience, that's how we can make effective art. It has to really be telling a story about a human who is experiencing something and not proselytizing and not editorializing too much. So here's an example. I have a song called New Thanksgiving Feast. The song references a lot of social issues. It talks about the history of genocide against indigenous peoples in this land. It talks about slavery. It talks about current racism. It references Colin Kaepernick's protest. It references the Women's March. But I did it in a way where I'm just sharing images of those things, and I'm trying to keep sort of my editorial opinions about everything out. I just shared the images, and I played this song at a show here in North Carolina a few years ago, and a couple came up to me afterwards, and the woman said to me, "You're very talented. I don't agree with everything you said, but you're very talented." And that was a huge win because that meant that she didn't agree with me, but she still was able to hear what I had to say. And in the times we're living in, I think that that's what we need to be going for. That's where art can make a difference. I hope that answers your question, Celeste, and I hope that I'm glad that you want to write about such things, you know. But that's where I would go, and I would listen to songs that are about social issues that matter to you, and see which ones that you find really effective, because if it moves you, it's going to move the people who are listening. I hope that's helpful. Okay, the next question I had is from Lorenzo, who asks, do you sing naturally or you took classes? No kidding, love your voice. So I was really, really blessed when I started out singing, you know, being a songwriter, that I had a voice teacher who helped me understand that singing is an embodied experience. Oftentimes I'm just going to say, like, white people can get, but maybe all people, we get like caught up in what's going on, like from the neck up. And if you're not watching this on the video, you can't see me, but I'm gesturing like from my neck up to my head. And that's not really, you can't get a full range of emotion and dynamics from your neck up. You really have to get into your diaphragm and even your hips. So I was really lucky to have a vocal teacher named June Howe. She was based in Boston at the time when I was starting out, and she helped me understand that singing is something you do with your body. It's not just like, and you know, I'm not like the most trained singer. There are tons of singers out there who have like really incredible technique that I could only aspire to. But for me, for what I do, it's got to come from the gut, and it's got to come from like the lower half of your body. I hope that. So it's kind of like, it is natural, but I had to get some training to understand how to access it, if that makes sense. Okay, the next question I received says, "Hi Jess, I have a question for your Substack Ask Me Anything. Do you still have plans to tour in Europe, or do you feel like this part of your musical journey is over for now? Thanks, Matush." Okay. Thanks for the question, Matush. Matush is a friend of mine, based in Slovakia. And no, I don't feel like this part of my musical journey is over. I did need to take a break from touring in Europe and the UK because I wasn't doing it in a way that felt sustainable to me at the time. It felt like expensive and tiring, but I definitely feel drawn to come back and play for fans there. I miss it. I miss being in Europe. I also miss being in the UK and Ireland. So yeah, I've been trying to sort of like I just want to be open to doing it the right way. And I'm open to invitations if people listening would like me to come back to Europe. Yeah, there were some parts of it that felt great and some parts of it that just felt like I'm racing to get on a bus to go to another country, and I'm really tired and I don't know if I'm going to find food I can eat when I get there. So yeah, I would love to come back to Slovakia. I don't know if that's implied in this question, but that's something I'd like to do. But I would like to tour. I would like to tour in Europe some more. I'm working on a new album now, or I'm finishing writing it. I've been writing it kind of over the past year, and I'm hoping that I'll be recording by like early spring, and maybe it'll come out late next year, or if not, early 2026. We'll see how that goes. But yes, good question. Definitely don't feel like it's over. Just kind of repositioning how I do certain things. Okay, thank you for your question, Matush. And folks listening, Matusz manages a phenomenal band from Slovakia called Corbin Dallas. I got to tour and perform with them a couple times, and they are like a power trio. The singer has like a phenomenal voice. I don't know if they'd like this comparison, but to me, they're a little bit like Queens of the Stone Age, just like really powerful, melodic, cool, weird chord changes, kind of dark. Love them. Okay, thanks for your question, Matusz. Okay, so the next question I got was from Ben, who asked me which female songwriter do you admire most and which male songwriter? And I had to think a lot about this. There's a ton of songwriters I admire. And I'll list them in a minute, but I've always struggled with the idea of like female artist, not female artist, male artist, because because not everyone fits in either of those genders. And I sometimes wish I could just be someone's favorite artist, not because I need to like conquer everything or not make room for other people's art, but because I sometimes find that feeling defined as a female artist can feel limiting. Like, I like being the gender I was assigned, but I also don't want to feel limited to it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just kind of like that's how I feel when someone's like tells me, I don't know, female artist thing. I know that's probably not what you were really asking me, Ben, but it felt important to say. So I think I'm just going to share like which artists of all genders that I admire. So, man, there are so many great songwriters who I turn to, like I think of turning to great music and great songwriters as like, it's like when you put on the album of someone you admire, you're like, okay, I know this person is going to have my back. Like, they have gone deep enough with their work to make me feel better after I listen, So some of my like all-time go-tos are Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen. More recently-ish, well, not that recently, but like I think I grew up listening to all those folks, as well as like some great Motown songwriters like Smokey Robinson and I guess he wasn't technically Motown, Sam Cooke. What an incredible songwriter. Like, if I could ever write a hook like Cupid, like a lyric that's like that simple and beautiful, and a hook like that, I would just be done. I would just retire. And not to mention like his singing voice. I mean, God, could that man sing. Stevie Wonder, like, he's another one where I just go like, how could this all come out of one human? Like, this is just amazing. And then I guess as I got older, I started to listen to like Patty Griffin and Lucinda Williams a lot. They were really influential on my writing. Stevie Nicks, I love how earthy and direct and sort of weird she is. Like, you don't really necessarily know what she's talking about, but it also just hits you in the gut. I really like that. I like to listen to people where it's like you don't necessarily know what they're talking about, but you feel what they're talking about. I as someone who overthinks a lot, it's really important for me to just like be able to hear music that just makes me feel things without having to think too much. Who else? More recently, Alison Russell. Oh God. Outside Child was like just an incredible album. I went to a show a few weeks ago here in North Carolina. Well, it's probably like a month ago now. I went to see Skylar Gudaz. She was amazing. God, she could write. Such an amazing, beautiful, like fluid voice. So she had a little bit of Joni Mitchell-esque thing, but totally her own vibe. Really cool. Chris Pierce, who was a guest on this podcast a couple episodes back, phenomenal voice, phenomenal writer, great songs about social justice and just being a human, and so much just like compassion oozing out of him and his songs. It's a lot to learn from as a songwriter. I don't know. You know what I'm going to say, Ben? You should join my son. I have a third Sunday salon that I do with paid subscribers to my Substack, and we literally co-create a playlist each month of our favorite songs and artists around a specific topic, different topic each month. So I'm just going to cap it and invite you to come do that, because otherwise I'll spend the next hour just listening and listing and talking about songwriters I admire. I really appreciate the question. I heard a really cool songwriter today that I hadn't heard before named Cassidy Frost, who is based out in, I think, San Francisco. I'm not really sure, but I'm part of their community on Substack, and they sent folks in that community a link, and it was really cool, kind of poppy, but really sweet. And then also, sorry, oh my God, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna name like 3 more people, and then I'll cap it. Wes Collins, our friend who from here in North Carolina, is an amazing songwriter. Man, that guy is so, oh my God, it's just like so dark and beautiful and incredible lyrics. Okay, two more. Spooner Oldham, who wrote some of those hits for Stax, I think mostly for Stax. Like, I think he wrote Dark End of the Street. Again, like, if I could write a song like that, I'd just be like, that's it. Just take me out back and shoot me. That's like, I have done my job on this earth. And let's see, one more person. I'm going to say John Fullbright. I love him, and I worked with him a bunch when I lived in Austin. And his album, Live at the Blue Door, and then From the Ground Up, were just like so incredible. And I did sing on From the Ground Up, but I would have thought it was an incredible album even if I hadn't. So, all right, that's gonna conclude this list for now. But I do encourage y'all, if you're listening and you wanna get nerdy with me about your favorite artists, do become a paid member of my Substack. I put the link in the show notes below. And once a month we'll get on the Zoom and we'll just go nuts talking about our favorite artists and favorite songs. So I'm so grateful to everyone who has listened to this podcast. This was like a total, like, just experiment for me. And I really, really appreciate everyone who's tuned in this season and given it a shot. I will be back in a couple weeks with another full episode with a special end of the year guest, like I mentioned. In the meantime, drop me a line if you have a question you want answered on air. Maybe I could work in like a question and answer segment of future episodes. In the meantime, I'm sending you all lots of love, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
When you are tempted to walk away from their reverie, you might hear them say, "Kid, we are here. There's no reason to fear. Won't you join us as often as you are able?"
Jess Klein's Big Table is produced by me, Jess Klein, and recorded on the traditional lands of the Lumbee, Chiraw, Catawba, Saponi, Occaneechi, Eno, and Shakori people. If you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did, please subscribe, please like, and please share it with your people. You can find out more about my upcoming tour dates and musical releases at jessklein.com or on my Substack. Talk to you soon.